Good evening. My name is Tyron, and we're going to be reading a book called Leave Me Alone by Vera Brosgel, who's the author and illustrator. And some objectives are to identify some emotional triggers that may cause you to feel irritated, sad, or annoyed, etc. And uh, this book may better help you understand how to cope with your emotions, and we'll see some examples from the character, the protagonist, on how she dealt with her emotions. So, this is the title cover: the bear, child, goat, and the alien. Pay close attention. You'll need that later. We'll see it again in the book. What do you think the story will be about? Do you have any ideas or inferences on what it may be about based on the title? Um, and what do you think, or what comes to mind when the word "leave me alone"? You hear it, and what are some triggers that can get you annoyed, and how do you cope with it? Are some of the questions that the title may pose. But let's get to reading. Once there was an old woman. She lived in a small village in a small house. And here's the picture. With a very big family. So as you can see, it's a lot of kids, a couple parents. How many kids do you think are in this picture? And what do you think we can expect coming, based on her mad look and, all the kids? What can we expect? Winter was coming. Let me get over here. Winter was coming. That meant she had some very important knitting to do, but it wasn't getting done. So you see the kids are messing with her while she's trying to knit, and they make her yarn fall. So what do we think is going on as of now? Because now we have a clear illustration of how the kids are messing with her, how she has some important knitting to do. Now we kind of know why she's irritated. Her grandchildren were very curious about her knitting. Were you supposed to hit the ball with a stick? Could you eat it? Could you make your brother eat it? Why did the ball get smaller and smaller as you chased it? So, as you can see, the kids are trying to mess with the yarn. They're eating it and trying to hit it. So, some connections we can make. Do we have any siblings? Do you have any siblings? I know I have kids, so I definitely can relate to the grandmother and the kids messing with her stuff all the time. It's very annoying. Let's go to the next page. The old woman was at the end of her rope. So what does that mean, end of her rope? I would guess that she was at the end of her wit. She was tired. She was at her breaking point. And now, her irritation is at a peak. So she made her bed as neatly as she could. She swept the floorboards until they more or less shone. She drank from her samovar. And she packed up her things in a big sack, and as she left, she shot it back. So, what do we think she's about to shot? Based on our title, and based on the last page, that we can tell that she's reached her peak. What do you think she's about to do? And another question is, what is a samovar? I've never heard of it prior to this story. Maybe you have. Excuse me. Leave me alone. And we see that she has packed up a sack and she's about to go somewhere. And she said, leave me alone. So where do we think she's going at now? I think she's trying to get some peace and quiet, but where is she going to go to get it? Let's see. The old woman walked through the deep, dark forest. She made a fire so that she could see what she was doing. Then she sat down and began to knit. The bear family was very curious about the light from her fire and about what she might taste like. So you see the bear trying to eat her, and you see her, she walked to the forest. What extremes have you ever went to achieve a goal? As we can tell, she's going very extreme. You know, she's dealing with bears. She's in the middle of a forest. She's made her own fire. She's doing some crazy things to get some peace. So let's think about what's some crazy things we did to achieve a goal. Peace is her goal. Leave me alone, the old woman shouted. But they didn't listen because bears don't speak English. So she picked up her sack and left. Okay, so now we see she's leaving. She's going up a mountain, but where she's going to go next? You know, what might she encounter next? So let's see. The old woman climbed up the mountainside. It was so cold. It was cold, so she found a small sheltered place. Then she sat down and began to knit. The mountain goats were excited to have a visitor, especially one that bought snacks. So what do we see? We see, you know, she went on the mountainside, and now instead of bears, it's goats that's messing with her yard. And as we know, goats like to eat almost anything. So they're having a nice snack on her yard. Leave me alone, the old woman shouted. But the goats were too busy fighting over the red ones, which they all agreed were the best. So she picked up her sack and left. Where is the grandmother going? We see her leaving and going up the mountain now. So where's she going? The old woman climbed higher and higher up the mountain until she reached the top and climbed onto the moon. So we see that she went from the mountain onto the moon. I don't know how possible that is, but she's on the moon now. So what's going on? She found a rock that was shaped like a chair, and she sat down and she began to knit. The little green man had never seen a woman before, old or otherwise. They examined her with handheld scanners that went beep boop. So, do you believe in aliens? As we can see right now, we got some aliens on the planet, and they're scanning her with their technology. You know, it's food for thought. Leave me alone, the old woman shouted. But the little green moon man couldn't hear her because they didn't have any ears. So she picked up her sack and left through a wormhole. What is a wormhole? What do y'all think it's going to be exactly? I think it's going to be like a black hole. The void on the other side of the wormhole was very dark and very, very quiet. She was absolutely, completely, utterly all alone. It was perfect. So, she finally reached her goal, but she had to go through bears, goats, and aliens. But she's not completely alone. But it's dark. She soon had no more yarn and 30 little, soon she had no more yarn and 30 little sweaters. And she was all alone. So, from page 2, I remember I asked you guys how many grandchildren there were. And it says she knitted 30 little sweaters. So, I'm guessing we have our answer. So she put the 30 little sweaters into her big sack. She swept the void until it was nice and matte black. She had a cup of tea from her samovar. Then she picked up her sack and left through another wormhole. So, does this page look familiar? Do we remember her doing these actions? We should. She did this before she left her house. She swept, put things in the sack, drank a cup of tea from the samovar, and left. when she came out the other side, everything was right where she left it. So, do we think the grandmother is happy now? She's not smiling. I don't know if you guys see that. She's not smiling. But do we think she's happy now that she got everything done? And she didn't say a word. So we see all the children are happy, and she is too. I think she is happy now. And that's the end of the book. Hope you guys enjoyed it, and hope you can find some ways to cope with your irritations when you want someone to leave you alone.